Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Girls in Podcast, which is all about conversations from around the world with founders, influencers, and some pretty cool people, all in all. So today we're on episode 8 of the series, and today we're not actually lacking in the cool area because we have a great guest who has taken time out of their busy schedule to talk to me today. She's known as an award-winning Bollywood celebrity journalist and has rubbed shoulders with some pretty amazing stars. And I think more importantly, this individual's journey is inspiring to anyone who is listening and wants to make it in the world of media. So I'm hoping she can kind of shine some light on how you get started, challenges, and everything else you have to face in the industry as well. She's currently a host on the award-winning show Sunrise Radio and has also been a presenter on BBC Asian Network as well. So I can safely say she's firmly nailed the radio world. So without further ado, let's welcome Anushka Arora onto the show. Welcome, Anushka.
Thank you so much, Polly. That was a bit of an introduction.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was really, really nice. That was lovely.
How are you?
How are you? I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Are you in the studio today or whereabouts are you?
I was in the studio and then I came straight to the gym. So that's my normal routine. So I finished the show at 4 and then I go and head off to the gym. I do an hour's workout. So I'm currently in the car. I just finished from my gym session.
Oh, great.
And I'm talking to you.
Yeah, all a day in the life, I suppose. So for anyone that's listening, I think it'd be great for them to, I've given you a bit of a kind of brief, short and sweet background. So you tell me kind of your journey of how you got to where you are now and how you got started, really.
So it was, we're going back 10 years now. So it was just recently I was celebrating my 10-year anniversary of being a radio presenter. Wow. So it's been quite a journey. Yeah, it's been quite a journey. It's been a lot of hard work, I would say. I think what a lot of people don't understand is that you don't just kind of go into a studio and talk on a mic. So I think it's important for people to understand that there's a lot of research that goes into a show. But I'll come to that a little bit later on. But initially, how I got started was I actually studied a degree in journalism at the University of the Arts. And whilst I was doing my journalism degree, we had lots of different modules. And, we had newspaper writing, we had media law, we had broadcast journalism, which consisted of TV and radio. And I took quite a liking towards TV and radio. So that was like my most favorite modules that I had. And, we did a lot of editing as well. I really enjoyed that too, to be honest. And I think it was a radio that really, really stood out. And, we were told that if you want to get into radio, the best way to start and to get experience is to do a show on a hospital radio. So whilst I was at uni, I joined my local hospital, which was Ealing Hospital. And I used to do a 2-hour Bollywood show there every Sunday morning.
Cool.
And at that time, I never used to drive. So my sister used to get up in the morning. I think the show started at 9 o'clock. So I used to do 9 to 11. I used to get up in the morning. She used to drop me. I used to do my 2-hour show and then she used to come and pick me up. And I did that for about 5 years.
Oh wow.
So I had this really, really strong base, which I obviously didn't understand at the time how important it would be going further in my career, that a lot of people really looked at hospital radio thinking, okay, wow, she's got some really great experience. And I didn't just do a show, so there was a really nice team that used to work there as well, and we were all volunteers at that time. And, we used to make jingles together. We used to kind of like sit there and, it was just really fun. It was so much, it was a hands-on kind of experience. And that's what I really loved about it. Yeah. And and then that kind of led to, I actually didn't know this, but hospital radio have their own awards academy. Yeah. So we had the Hospital Radio Awards. And at that time, I got nominated for Best Radio Presenter of the Year. So naturally, I was really, really happy. I was so over the moon. And we went to, I think the ceremony was in Blackpool. We went to Blackpool with my family. And although I didn't win, but I think it was just such a nice little confidence boost to have. Yeah. And, just to know that I was, nobody was there to tell me stuff, but I kind of had an idea that I was going in the right direction. Yeah. So that was a massive foundation and a massive base for my career. And then once I finished uni, I was still doing hospital radio. I then finished uni and I finished uni and then I got my first job at Club Asia Radio, which is now Sunrise Radio, like many years down the line. So that was 963 and 972 AM. And when you go onto commercial radio or any radio station for that matter, you have to start right at the bottom and you have to do your graveyard shifts. Yeah. So I was put on the 4 to 6 a.m. early breakfast show. Oh, so they were like, all right, you're going to do this show. And I was living in West London at the time, and I used to have to travel to East London. So the studio was in East London. Oh, and I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? But luckily I was driving at this time. I passed my test and everything. And I used to get up like 2, 3 in the morning and go for my show. I used to drive. It used to take me an hour to drive there. And I used to get to the studio for about 3:30. No, not 3:30, I lied. So I used to get to the studio for about 3:15. Yeah. And then I'd do all my research and stuff. It used to be like pitch dark at that time of the morning in the winter. So you can imagine, like getting out of bed at that time is so hard. And, and then I used to like spend about 45 minutes prepping for the show. And then I used to finish my show at 6. And then I used to stay back in the office and do some production work and help out and stuff and have meetings and all of that. And then I stayed at Club Asia for about 3 months. And then 3 months later, I had a call from Sunrise, and then Sunrise Radio had offered me an afternoon show, which was really nice. So I started at Sunrise doing the 1 to 4 show, and then I stayed at Sunrise for about 5 years. Wow. And then Sunrise TV came along as well, so then I had my own TV show there. So it was all very Bollywood. Everything that I used to do was just all Bollywood. So red carpet premieres, Bollywood celebrity interviews, and all that shebang. So, and then after 5 years, I was like, okay, maybe it's time for a change. And then I moved on to BBC Asian Network, and I think that's where I faced the real challenges. Yeah. Because the thing is, with Sunrise Radio and Club Asia, they were 2 massive commercial radio stations, and then you had BBC, which is of course government run. And with BBC, they have their own team per show, and you had like 2 producers per show. You had somebody looking after your social media at that time, and it all sounded really good to me. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And I went to and I was co-hosting the Drive Time show. So, and I was going to be based in Birmingham. So I was like, okay, fine, let's do it. It's going to be something different. It sounds really amazing. Let's do it. So I kind of started out, and I just felt like I just didn't fit in there. Really? And to me, the thought of somebody doing my work for me, I didn't like that, because at Club Asia and at Sunrise, we had a lot of freedom. I was the producer of my own show. Yeah. And at BBC, it was, you had people doing that for you. So I felt like a little bit of my freedom was taken away. Yeah. So I think that was one of my really big challenges. And I was like, okay, I have to get through this. I have to do it. But unfortunately, I didn't quite gel. I stayed there for about 2 years. And I actually faced a lot of bullying there as well. So I was kind of tagged like the new girl for 2 years. So it was a really difficult phase of my life. I was away from my family. I was away from my friends. Yeah. And, I tried to, move to Birmingham and all of that. I think I tried everything possible. Yeah. But I think eventually I had to just put my foot down and say, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. And, I don't want anyone stepping over me, because I think there came to a point in my life where I was losing my personality. Yeah. Yeah. I was losing who I was. And a lot of people were saying to me, you don't sound yourself on the radio. Oh. And I had never co-hosted on the radio before either. So that was all very new to me. And the person who I was co-hosting with, we had a lot of differences. We didn't gel. Our personalities didn't get on and everything. And, everybody was like, it's fine. If you don't get on off air, maybe, you will get on air, because that happens sometimes. That happens. But unfortunately, it didn't happen in my case. So I just put my foot down and I said, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I was really unhappy. Right. And then I had about 6 to 8 months where I left BBC and I wasn't doing anything. I didn't have a job. So that's what inspired me to start my blog and to write. Right. So I started up a blog, and which actually did really, really well. And then that was all very Bollywood. So I used to write all the Bollywood news stories. So it was just all in order for me to keep my mind active as well, because obviously when you don't have a job, you don't have any income coming in. It's all really messy in your head. And I just kept going. Again, it was really, really hard for me during that phase. It was really hard for me to keep going, but I had to do it. I had to pull through. I was like, it's okay. It's okay. Something will come up. Just focus on your blog. So yeah, absolutely. And then Sunrise at that time, this is now going into 2014. Sunrise at this time was going through massive changes. So they were changing management and they were changing all their presenters. And then I got a call from the new management saying, would you like to come back? We'd like to offer you your afternoon slot. And I was like, absolutely. I took it with my eyes closed. So since 2014, I'm being back at Sunrise, and I couldn't have been happier doing the 12 to 4 show. I'm not going to say it's an easy ride. No. It's very hard still. A lot of people think, oh, she starts her show at 12 o'clock. She must stroll out of bed at 10:30, 11 even. To be honest with you, I don't. My routine is getting up out of bed by 7:30, having showered, having breakfast by 8:30, and I'm on to prepping my show up until from about 8:32 until about, say, 10:30. I'm prepping for my show and get ready, go to work, and I'm on air from 12, and then before I know it, my 4 hours have gone in the day. So yeah, it's been quite a journey. It's been really, really nice. I've learned a lot, and I have met some amazing people as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, I mean, even to think you're probably back in the hospital days, doing a hospital radio, you probably thought, God, if I was doing something like this on the BBC, that would be like the ultimate height of, wow, this is where I want to be. But actually, you're like, am I happy?
Exactly. That's it. That is it. And you don't. I mean, it's not. I'm glad I worked there. I absolutely have no regrets whatsoever, because it has made me such a stronger person than I already was before. I know how to deal with people. I know, sometimes when people are really soft, they just don't know how to say no. And I think that and that can be a really big setback for a person as well. You can't just keep saying yes to everything. So that taught me a hell of a lot. It really, really did. And it was a really down phase of my career, but looking back at it, I'm happy that God put me through it.
Completely. You've got to be. I mean, that's one big challenge. How you're saying as well, like, one of the biggest problems was that the kind of, you've got a team around you helping you, but actually it's quite nice at sorting out, I don't know, questions for an interview you've got, or like prep, rather than reading someone else's notes saying, oh, this is what you ask this person, when actually I want to ask the question that I want to know about. So.
Exactly.
It's all exciting. But anyway, okay, so what's been one of the most inspiring sort of interview moments you've had in your career, do you think?
I think the most inspiring interview that I've ever done has to be Shahrukh Khan. It is. I mean, just talking to him, you can sit down with him and you can speak to that guy for hours on end, because he has got so many stories to tell you. And what I really, really love about him is that he will just, even if you're a 5-year-old kid, even if you're a 60-year-old grandma, or you're, a teenager, he will just come to your level. That is how inspiring he is, because he himself has gone through so much. He's seen the industry grow. He's seen the industry on a low. So that guy, when I just look at him and I just think, your body of work is absolutely unbelievable. And he has no ounce of arrogance in him. He absolutely doesn't. And I think it's really nice to know that, because somebody on a level as high as Shahrukh Khan, you would expect to him, he's got bodyguards around him. He's got everything. That guy has got every single thing you could possibly ask for, but he is so humble and he's so down to earth. I'll tell you one incident that happened. I was hosting his one of the press conferences for his film Chennai Express in London that had happened, and it was him, it was Deepika, and who else was there? I can't remember who else was there, but anyway, he was there with his whole team, and I'd hosted it, and he was just leaving the hotel. He had a coffee in his hand, and I was just there, literally I was just standing there, And he came up to me and he said, Anushka, thank you very much for hosting the press conference. And I think from that day, more than anything, I just was happy at the fact that he appreciated my work.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, like I never ever would have thought that, you know, somebody of that caliber would turn around and say thanks to me. Like, he didn't have to.
No.
He could have just walked away.
Yeah.
He just didn't have to. And ever since that day, every time I see him, he's so respectful. It's honestly, he will always say hello to me. He would always ask me how I am, and he would just have a conversation with me.
Well, you must have made.
So I think with it. Sorry?
You must have made an impact, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did make an impact for him. For him to just kind of turn around and say thank you, I think that was more than enough for me. So literally every time I interview Shahrukh Khan, he's just really, really down to earth, and I just think, you know, that's amazing.
They're the best people to interview as well. It makes the conversation so much more laid back and just be yourself.
Yeah, you don't. You don't have to worry about anything, like, oh, is he going to throw a tantrum, or, you know, like he was here for the Diwali promotions, and he had his little boy Abram with him, and he was just running around, and it was so cute. And I just thought, you know, you're so just normal. He's actually a very normal person, but yet he's this massive superstar all at the same time. So yeah, I think Shahrukh Khan has got to be a big highlight. Massive.
So I mean, okay, so there's obviously the inspiring moments of your career. Have you ever had like a sort of challenging, maybe not a topic, or well, it could be a topic or a person that you've had to interview, maybe say in the past year or kind of past few years or whatever?
Challenging interview. You know what? The people that I interview that I have interviewed actually haven't been that bad at all.
Good.
They've actually all been really nice to me. But I tell you one incident that happened. This was at Sunrise Radio, and this was the time when Benazir Bhutto had passed away, and that happened as I was in the middle of my show. And when something as big as that happens, you've really got to be on the ball. You have got to be on the ball. You've got to be on it, because you have to literally report about it straight away, and you've got to report about it with the facts as well. So I just remember that happening, and I remember the management coming down and saying, you know, look, we have to take over, because it kind of went from being a Bollywood show to being a very political show.
Oh wow.
So yeah. So that, I wouldn't say it was challenging, but I would say it's quite, you know, it was quite a moment that happened in my career. So, you know, we had to put all of that aside, and, you know, then it just kind of for a few days it, you know, turned into like a political debate show and all of that sort of thing. So
the lightheartedness kind of went quite quickly, I bet.
Yeah, that complete. Yeah, with situations like that, you know, you've really got to be prepared, and it just kind of these things come out of nowhere, don't they?
Yeah, of course, definitely. I suppose you have to stay professional completely. I mean, so Girls in Movement is all about kind of eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to connect a sort of girl in India or a group of girls in India to, say, influencer or an individual here in the UK, anywhere around the world, and they can kind of act as a mentor or offer them advice. So my question is, have you had any sort of standout mentors or individuals who have influenced kind of not only your career but how you live your life, I suppose?
Sorry, can you just repeat that question again?
Yeah, sure. So do you have any kind of standout mentors or individuals who have influenced like your career so far and kind of how you live your life?
Yes, there is not a particular person, but I'll tell you, earlier this year actually, I did this 24-hour radio marathon on Sunrise, where I was on air for 24 hours, no break. And I actually did, it was so much fun. I actually did it for charity, and I tied up with a charity called Child Reach International. And before I put this idea forward, I had said to Sunrise, saying, I really want to tie up with a charity. It doesn't matter who it is or what they do. You know, I just want to raise money for, and I just want to help people. And it was really nice that Child Reach International had actually come on board, and they, you know, we had sat down, we had many meetings together, because also at the same time, we had one of the people who were involved in this radio marathon. He was actually running the London Marathon on the same day.
Oh, wow.
So we were all kind of raising money for this charity that we had tied up with. And, you know, they were just telling me about their work and how they help children in, not just in India, but Brazil, Nepal, and, you know, all of that. And collectively, just the amazing work that they do, it just made me want to do and just help and give these children. It's like, you know, when you just hear about stories that children are just, you know, they don't have their basic needs like a toilet or education, or, you know, just because they live in really small villages and they can't afford it. And, you know, that's the unfortunate environment. So this charity is really, really close to my heart. I've always wanted to be involved in something like that. And I'm happy that Child Reach International had just happened. And it happened to be something that I'm so passionate about. And, you know, they also deal with like child trafficking as well. And, you know, some of the stories that I heard. And then at the end of the day, I just thought, what are we doing? Like, why haven't I done this before? So, you know, so it's just, honestly, ever since then, every time I hear about these stories, and it just impacts me a lot more than it used to. I mean, well, I used to hear these stories beforehand and that was it. But when I hear them now, it's just that I feel like I just want to do something for them. So, you know, and with this charity, I do want to travel with them to India. I would absolutely love to visit, you know, the places where they do their work and, you know, help these children. So hopefully, I'm hoping at some point next year that will happen.
Oh, that'd be really good. I think it's even more kind of satisfying for yourself as well to go out there, help them on, because I mean, there's so many charities out there today where you can just kind of give money, but personally, I don't find that it's not about kind of having your own sort of self reward or anything, but you want to get more hands on, which sounds like with child
absolutely
it is the way.
It's like you want to do something, right? You physically want to be there for them.
Yeah, completely.
So,
I mean, I suppose if you had any sort of advice for individuals who are listening and wanted to kind of pursue I suppose a similar career, because the media industry is really hard to crack. I mean, what would be your advice to them?
I think I would just say you've got to just don't give up. You've got to keep going, because it's really easy, you know, with the Asian media industry. I think it's very small, it's very niche, and we don't have that many platforms, which is unfortunate. But, you know, wherever you are trying to crack getting into media, just don't stop and don't ever give up, because that's what I didn't give up. I just kept going. And you've got to have a really, really strong passion about what you want to do. And that goes for, you know, being a doctor, that goes for being a lawyer, that goes for being a presenter, it goes for a hairdresser. Anything that you want to do in life, just make sure you are so passionate about it, you're obsessed with it, because I am obsessed with my work, and you've got, and that will keep you going. But what I also really do want to do is, you know, like set up like a masterclass and help people that want to get into the media. Like, I want to offer them my knowledge. I want to pass it on to like the newer generation, because we don't have any platform. There's nobody there to teach them and say, you know, don't do it like this or do it like this, or at least, you know, maybe not right and wrong, but at least just give them a bit of advice so they know which direction that they can head in. I didn't have that. I had to do it all on my own, and it's really hard. Like, none of my family members come from a media background. I'm the first one in my family to do it. And I'm sure a lot, you know, anybody who is listening also has that as well. But and I want to be there for them. I want to provide that knowledge, and I want to provide that platform, and I want to help them and say, you know what, come here, come to me, let's sit down, let's talk for half an hour, 40 minutes. You ask me whatever you want, and I will tell you, and I will give you my knowledge as much as I can give you, because I want to help you. And I also want, you know, the younger generation to be even more amazing than I am.
Yeah, no, that's complete. I mean, that's kind of the goal that lots of people should have, really. And I think it's not just kind of saying, oh, okay, this is what you could do, but I think telling someone about your own experience is just far more kind of insightful and actually worthy than just saying, okay, this is the route you can take. Or because I think university so far, it doesn't actually give you real life experiences until you leave.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's very hard, I think, even in this generation where we have social media, it's actually becoming harder to become noticed because everyone's out there at the moment and their lives are on social media, and how do you stand out? So yeah, I mean, I'll be all up for trying to help you in some way to try and connect you with people who need that.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
So yeah,
that'd be great.
Perfect. So I mean, talking about kind of this year, what's been a couple of highlights and what's exciting that's coming up for you?
I think highlights for me this year have been, I went to India. I was in Bombay, and I love working out in Bombay. It's just the best experience ever. So I was there for the Star Parivar Awards that happened, and then I was doing some social media activity with Star UK. So that was quite fun. And that was early on in May. And then one of recently, I think, was a massive career highlight. Was actually hosting the Rahat Fateh Ali Khan show. I mean, I've hosted his show so many times before, but I think every year that he comes here, it's always a sellout, and two, it's always different. So this year he was paying a tribute to Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. So I think the whole vibe of the concert was so different. It was like very Qawwali based and plus Bollywood as well. So he had split it up really, really nicely, and it was just one of the most epic shows that I've ever hosted. And the audience was just, it was just spectacular. It was amazing.
That sounds good. And especially when you come from the video world, like actually having that kind of response from an audience straight away, that must be really satisfying.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Okay, so final question, just to kind of round up the interview, would be, if you could give your younger self any advice, what would it be?
I would say to my younger self, I would have been I would say just be strong. I think I was quite innocent and quite naive at that point. And I think we all are anyway, but it's just, you just need to remind yourself that, you can do it and you can carry on. Just don't give up, don't stop, whatever happens, just carry on doing it. Honestly,
it's not it's not the end of the world if you get a curveball, so it's all good.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Anushka, for kind of joining me on the show and obviously talking about your life. It's so interesting. Like, the media world is one tough place to be in, so yeah, sounds like you're doing well.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was really, really nice talking to you, and I just hope that we can get the message out there about anybody wanting to come into the industry and just wanting help, and how do they go about it, and all of that. So and I'm just I just want the newer lot who are going to be entering the Asian media industry to just make me feel proud and say, yeah, I used to be like that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of thing. So, thank you.
Well, all the kind of details to get in touch with Anushka and her Instagram, Twitter will all be at the bottom of the YouTube feed. And then, of course, we're now live on iTunes, so all the podcasts are on there as well if you want to download them. So thank you, Anushka. Thank you, everyone who's listening. And we'll be back next week with another podcast. Thank you.